Africans are buckling under the pressure of blackouts. How are township entrepreneurs actually coping with the continued power cuts? We're joined now by Bulelani Balabala from the Township Entrepreneurs Alliance for this matter. Bulelani, always a pleasure speaking to you. Very good morning. I mean, it's one thing to talk about rolling blackouts in stage 4, stage 5, load shedding and the like, but I just wonder how much attention we're paying to how it actually affects township entrepreneurship or the township economy.
Good morning, Faith, and all the viewers. Thanks for having us on this platform. It goes without saying that the impact is catastrophic, right? Because quite a number of small businesses, and I think businesses within the township are heavily reliant on I think ESCOM being able to provide the power required, and purely because the cost of plugging into alternative means, I think some of the common ones are your generator, and I think some of the expensive ones out there in the market is your solar power, right? And I think to a degree, there's also only so much you can do, I think, as a small business owner who's in the township who wants to be an industrialist with power generated from solar, because the cost of implementing that crossover is too high. And the cost also of running and maintaining a generator is completely out. So it sort of throws you out of the ballpark. And we picked this up when we did work out in Khalishiwe, which is a township in Kimberley, in Northern Cape. Quite a number of those small quarter places found themselves excluded from the market and frustrated purely because of the rolling blackouts. And they could not necessarily afford switching over to gas because of the cost of the equipment, and also being able to run a generator, was in the cost of anything between 350 to 500 rand a day on just diesel and fuel.
It just becomes absolutely an exorbitant and unsustainable cost. If rolling blackouts actually continue along this trajectory, will the townships be able to sustain this? And what does it mean about just lives and livelihoods in that regard?
I think just on the question of lives and livelihoods, right? We've consistently heard the president and other ministers and the sort referring to small businesses as being the backbone of the economy. And I think I just wanted to be the backdrop of this answer, right? So them being the backdrop of this economy, it's quite strange that consistently they are negated from participating in solutions in these so-called committees that are coming up, they're formulating solutions to drive small businesses. And which is why we're sort of at this consistent Damascus point where things are going AWOL, and we're consistently hearing about review committees instead of having small businesses clearly represented in the pool of wherever decisions are being made, right? But there's no way small businesses who are within the township can survive this, especially if you are a budding industrialist. You don't have the funds to be able to afford a factory. So you'll be operating out of a garage, a neighbor's garage, your landlord, or whatsoever the case, and you are reliant on that electricity for you to be able to provide the basic needs or basic electricity needs, purely because of the barriers to accessing that become much cheaper than you buying out your own space, building in your own alternative power means. So it becomes super imperative and important for the LED offices, right? The local LED offices in the various municipalities to then maybe start to refocus their programming, right? To then have their programming now start to focus on how do we then help these small businesses with the dilapidated infrastructure, the vacant infrastructure that we have within our cities, so that we're able to bring them in, the ones who are industrialists, and we're able to then help them plug into the mainstream power in the event of shortfalls, so that their businesses don't dwindle and they don't fall off. Because the long-term ramification is that as a small business owner, I can no longer compete with the complex or the shop that's down the road, purely because they've got they've got backup power, and these are funded by blue chip organizations. So we need to then also be able to ring fence these small guys.
There have been numerous plans on government's part. I mean, also look at revitalizing the township, particularly in Gauteng, right? A whole, bill was passed regarding how do we revitalize the township. But is there an actual political will, in your opinion, to actually capacitate small businesses, particularly small businesses in the township? Or is it all just speak? Is it all just politics and speak to see how we can perhaps pacify those that are living within the township so that they don't get too angry where they become ungovernable?
I mean, what we've seen, right, over the years, it's an over pacification, if there's even such a word, right? And it's sort of a reactive leadership. Because I think for me, leadership for me is about being able to, preempt certain problems before they come, having your hand on the pulse of what's going on, and fully immersing yourself in the struggles and problems of your people. Because a very open and communicative leadership and government, prevents certain problems, and you are able to tackle issues head on. I don't necessarily think that there's a political will to deal with some of these issues. And I think up until we switch off the lights at some of our leaders' homes where they've got backup power and they actually feel the ordinary struggles of, I guess it's again an ordinary individual in South Africa, a day in the life of an ordinary South African, they won't really understand the struggles, and you're consistently removed from what is going on in the ordinary day, because the impact of this is that whatever money you were going to make as a small business owner, I think one of the guys was saying he's losing about 5,000 rand a month. He's making about 28,000 rand a month. And then I think that causes a very big problem, because that's before that's before any expenses are sort of deducted out of that. In trying to find alternative power means and trying to find alternative suppliers that are able to supply him with whatever goods that he needs to put out in the market. So I really think that, and I think it's a humble plea, because we go on these platforms to talk about the problems, but we need solutions, and we need them now. And the thing is, we can talk about small businesses collaborating and working with themselves and working with each other to find solutions. But the truth is, we need a government, because government's primary responsibility is to create an enabling environment for small businesses to thrive.
Bulelani, we'll leave it there for now. Much appreciated for your time.